Kite looked out over the waters in front of them and marveled at their glistening beauty. "So, is this the place you and Bomer always go fishing?" he asked. "Yes, and she catches a lot of big fish here too," replied Rogue with a grin. Sarah laughed at this. "And she probably eats them whole, doesn't she?" she chided. Rogue rolled his eyes. "Yeah, every last one of them, unfortunately. Because of that, we almost never leave here with anything, as she always eats them as soon as they hit the sand," he replied. The others laughed. "Yeah, that's Bomer for you. The beautiful girl with the bottomless stomach," replied Boyari. Sarah slapped him playfully. "Hey, I'm cute too," she protested. The others laughed. Just then a gigantic, powerful geyser of water erupted from beneath the waves as a massive mega whale breached the surface and turned to look at them, its gigantic head easily dwarfing even the largest ships on the water. "Whoa, look at that!" exclaimed Kite in amazement. "Yeah, that's a mega whale. They're a legendary class sea monster," said Rogue. "Hey, do you think you could take it down?" asked Boyari playfully. Rogue looked at him curiously. "Why do you want to do that?" he asked. Boyari shrugged at this. "We've got to feed Bomer something before she bankrupts us again," he replied. Rogue thought about this for a second before shrugging. He then bent down, picked up a stone, and tossed it lightly in his hand. "I don't know if I can, but it's still worth trying," he replied. He then cocked his arm back and threw the stone at the mega whale with such force that the sonic boom this created shook the sands on which they were standing. He'd thrown it as hard as he had, because he wanted to do more than just gently hit the whale with the stone. He wanted to kill it so he could collect it and bring it to Bomer as a snack, just like the others wanted. However, as per the usual, he overestimated the power of his throw, accelerating the stone to hypersonic speeds in the process. The stone then hit the head of the whale and pierced it with such ease that it was as though the whale wasn't even there. Unfortunately, it also completely vaporized the whale's head. Rogue's team stood quietly on the shore as they watched this in wide-eyed disbelief, as well as a small degree of disgust, as the remains of the whale sizzled and boiled for several moments before slowly sinking beneath the waves. Rogue, why don't you just sit this one out today, okay? We'll handle the fishing from here," said Kite anxiously. "Yeah, Rogue, if you keep fishing like this, there won't be anything left to catch," replied Boyari with a nervous chuckle. "Well, we may have lost the mega whale, but Rogue did a bang-up job chumming the waters," quipped Sarah. "True, but that also means we probably won't catch anything more today," replied Kite. The others, upon hearing this, sighed in reserved defeat. Even so, they were going to sit by the water as long as necessary in order to try and catch something. As they prepared to do so, Rogue went out to where the remaining half of the whale carcass had sunk, retrieved it, and brought it back to shore. As he examined it, he soon realized that, while his stone had indeed vaporized the upper half of the whale, the lower half was still intact, albeit a little beat up. Deciding that half a whale was better than nothing, he quickly cut it into steaks, and then put those in his item box for later to give to Bomer. However, just as he finished, a starship appeared overhead, having just come out of warp, and hovered there for several moments. Eventually, a pair of men, in high-tech spacesuits, beamed down to the shore where Rogue's team was standing. "Did someone throw a stone from here?" shouted one of them angrily. Rod, Sarah, and Boyari looked briefly at each other for a moment before pointing over at Rogue. Upon seeing this, the spacemen turned and stormed over to him. "That was you. You're the one who threw that hypervelocity stone?" asked one of them incredulously. Rogue grinned sheepishly. "Maybe," he replied. "Maybe," said both men in disbelief. "Yeah, we were fishing by the lake earlier today and got a chance to take down a mega whale. So I threw at the whale with that idea in mind," he replied. The two men looked around briefly in shock, and then back at him. "Wait, you threw a stone at a mega whale to kill it? Do you realize that your stone traveled all the way from here into the masters of space?" said one of them in disbelief. Rogue shook his head. "I didn't throw it that hard," he replied. "Oh, yes, you did. Our tracking telemetry traced your stone throw from our homeworld all the way back here to this exact point. So you absolutely did throw it that hard," protested one of the spacemen. Boyari chuckled at this. "I think you need to work on slowing down your fastballs in the future," he chided. However, the two men didn't find this the least bit funny. "Oh, you think this is a joke, eh? Do you have any idea what your stone just did?" One of them screamed angrily. "No," replied Rogue innocently. "That stone, the one you threw from here, made its way across Magefall into the Masters of Space and completely vaporized our home planet. There's literally nothing left of it except a gigantic gaseous nebula," shouted one of the men. Everyone in Rogue's team looked at each other briefly and then shook their heads. As wild as the report was coming from the two men, it also wasn't all that surprising for them either. "That's Rogue for you," said Sarah with a chuckle. "Hey, isn't the Masters of Space like 2 games over from here?" asked Kite. "Damn, if he threw it that hard and took out a planet that far away, that's outright impressive. Even for him," said Boyari with a chuckle. Just then another ship jumped into the area and disgorged its own passenger. "Who threw that rock?" the man screamed. Everyone immediately pointed at Rogue. "You did?" screamed the man. Everyone nodded. The man quietly face-bombed at this. "Why does that not surprise me?" he muttered quietly. "So where are you coming from?" asked Boyari. "Terrans in space." The three of them looked briefly at each other before looking back at him. "Terrans in space? That's like, what, 5 games away from here?" said Boyari in surprise. 7, said the man in reply. "Wow, 7 games away and still going." Just then 4 more ships jumped into the skies above and immediately disgorged their own angry, irate passengers. As they began talking with the others who'd already arrived there ahead of them, Boyari looked briefly at Rogue and then at the others in his team. 20 gold pieces says that it makes it 18 games before stopping," he laughed. Sarah giggled in return. "Those are rookie numbers. I'm betting it'll be 30. Kite laughed at this. Knowing Rogue, it could go 50 and I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised. "Same," said the other two with a giggle.